it's still going to get to exist. It'll just kind of be in a bubble. No one will be able to find it. And that's what, like, he just laid out the whole Machiavellian master plan. And apparently no one was taking notes because he meant what he said.
We've seen an incredible amount of reaction to the reaction, specifically to the Acolyte. Yeah. The Acolyte is it's been a very, very polarizing show in the Star Wars universe. You have people who love Star Wars, who will follow it till the day it's dead, which looks to be sooner than later. And you have people who loved Star Wars pre-Disney that are very critical of the show and the forced injection of a lot of the things that we talk about on a day-to-day basis. But now, let's go to thatparkplace.com. Thank you to That Park Place for this story. The audience score for The Acolyte has disappeared from the Rotten Tomatoes main page for the show. They have literally removed the audience score after it was getting destroyed at one point down to 14% of the show. They have removed it on Rotten Tomatoes. And this is it seems to be a coordinated effort, because if we go over to Grum's, he says Crunchyroll has also disabled comments here. So Rotten Tomatoes, bare user scores, and Crunchyroll has disabled comments when it comes to this. And you can see right here, protecting our community. They are protecting our community by removing one of the most basic things on the internet, discussion. Yeah. And here's the post from Crunchyroll themselves. It says, why is Crunchyroll disabling comments? It says, at Crunchyroll, we prioritize a safe and respectful community environment. To maintain the standard, we are removing all existing user-generated content, including comments across our platform and experiences. The user system ratings will, however, remain, allowing you to express your opinion through star ratings. So they're literally removing your speech and your thoughts. Razor, your thoughts.
Well, Crunchyroll, Rotten Tomatoes. I saw on Rotten Tomatoes it disappeared for a minute, and then it sort of came back. It actually, at one point, the user score on Rotten Tomatoes was like as low as 13% at one point. It was lower than the 14 that it's at, like one for every viewer, I guess. But it's like, I don't know. I feel like if you subtracted YouTube channels hate watching this show to just shit on it, this show would have lower ratings than like a 4 a.m. My Pillow commercial. Honestly, I don't know anyone who unironically watches The Acolyte.
Well, it's definitely been, like I said, very polarizing along the way. Now this has been pointed out in the chat just now. We're reacting to this in real time. And says, James says, the user scores are back on Rotten Tomatoes, which, taking a look at that right now, as you can see that they are back, and it is sitting at 14% right now, which, okay, that's interesting. I'm glad they're back. But this goes back to the larger question of Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll has not added their comments back, and people are not super happy about.
Well, not only that, but like they still deleted it at one point. Like Rotten Tomatoes hiding and promptly unhiding the user score is it. It kind of reminds me of like when some cringe lord at like IGN or Kotaku makes a retarded tweet, then puts their account on private. Then they come back like nothing happened. Like, I ain't even mad, bro. Or they're like, I was just pretending to be retarded, like for 28 unremitted. That's what it reminds me of. That's what it reminds me of. Like they took it away and then everyone noticed, so they put it back.
Do you think that this is Disney kind of putting their thumb down on Crunchyroll or
absolutely.
Rotten Tomatoes?
They've been doing this kind of thing for a long time, not just Disney. Warner Brothers are really bad about it. I remember when The Watchmen came out, it got dumped on the user score. And then one phone call later from Warner Brothers, they kind of put the kibosh on that. Or no, it was actually the reverse. It was like 98 something percent. It was the highest ever recorded rating in the history of Rotten Tomatoes. And then the users actually saw the movie and it went down, right? So that kind of thing's been happening for a long time. Companies do pay Rotten Tomatoes, and this has been common knowledge for a while.
You know, Robert says Crunchyroll was bought by Funimation, so it's not surprised. Well, Funimation is dead now, but so Sony actually owns them now. Thanks, Mexican Otaku. And that is accurate. And what's interesting about this is we've seen a growing trend of censorship from Sony over the past 6 months, couple of years, where they've kind of we saw the art book from that game that was censored for the PlayStation version of it, whereas on the Nintendo version it wasn't censored. We saw so a lot of the Stellar Blade stuff happening. There's a lot there, man. And the irony that Sony has become this thumb pushing down on people, silencing people, and not allowing people just to talk. That's really what's happening here. Is they're afraid of the common normal man's voice with this whole thing.
Well, they're based out of California now, right? They're not even a Japanese company technically anymore. They're headquartered in, where are they? Like San Diego, San Francisco? I can't remember where.
Yeah, they're on the left coast for sure.
It's ridiculous. The implication, of course, is, people are dogpiling the reviews, or what's the phrase? Review bombing. I haven't heard that one in a while, but we hear that. We've been hearing that for years. It's review bombing. It's like, really, can we not just step back for a moment and consider, like, this show's biggest contribution to the entire franchise is midichlorian muff babies? Like, that's, you don't think they might court some legitimate organic negativity, just that being fact?
Over on Reddit, they're talking about this, and they're right, man. There are a lot of people have thumbed up these comments here, and it's about, like, I look forward to reading the comments after each episode. This is a recurring thing, and once again, this is bigger than Star Wars. We're talking about all the animes over on Crunchyroll that you could watch, and comments are genuinely the best part of Crunchyroll. Having someone explain small details and things you missed important, right? They're worried about review bombing, where there's actually a lot of context that can be placed on these trailers, or on the comments made by people. There have been so many times where we've had a show and people have gone in and made a comment, and people have corrected something or updated something along the way, and that's important. And
look at the YouTube algorithm. It favors videos that have more comments and more engagement and more thumbs up and blah, blah, blah. Ultimately, this is going to hurt the actual shows and such on Crunchyroll, because engagement in comment sections, even if it wasn't algorithmic, it would encourage discussion. People are going to come back there and reply to comments and blah, and that's going to drive viewership up, and that's only good for the show. Right. So the more you're censoring this kind of stuff, the more you take comments away. The only real casualty is the success of your actual product at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree. I think the idea of, like, I want people talking about side scrollers. I want people talking about the Real Game Awards, right? It's important that people talk about those things, and we don't stifle discussion, good or bad, along the way. And I think it's a really, really poor and short-sighted move to remove comments from a platform like Crunchyroll or Rotten Tomatoes or YouTube or anywhere. I mean, why is X so massive? Why is social media so active? I mean, really, at the end of the day, X is microblogging, right? Very short posts. It's more like, here's a comment that I make, and then it allows somebody to respond to that comment that you made. And it ultimately drives discussion, good or bad. But the point is that it still allows for discussion.
So whilst you were talking, I actually have Crunchyroll, right? So I went on the app, and the comments are already scrubbed. So I was watching this show like weeks ago, and all the comments, by the way, were positive about this show. They were all wanting a season 2, blah, 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 blah. Everyone was like, yes, super excited. They're all gone now. But the thing is, you can still leave a comment. So the whole section's still available. You can still comment. You have to, like, put your name and all that stuff, and username, whatever. But you can actually, it says leave a comment, but they're all scrubbed. They're gone, which is weird. So I guess they're slowly going to be removing that as well.
No. So over on Reddit, they pointed out that it says, though we shouldn't abound in hope just yet, Crunchyroll in their official Q&A statement said that that the comments were hidden and not deleted. So they went in and just hid everything. So you can still make the comment. So there's a possibility that Crunchyroll sees this and they just reinstate all of them. So you can still make the comments, just nobody will see them along the way.
Well, that's stupid. You're just talking into the void.
Yeah, this is damage control. This is momentary damage control that is probably going to wind up at least semi-permanent.
Yeah, maybe they're just testing this right now. But the idea of them hiding behind the idea of safety, the idea of protecting our community, the idea that they're daddy and they get to protect you, that's really Orwellian when it comes to this stuff, right? That's the craziest thing about this. The idea that they know better than the user. We know better than you.
You see it most with big corporate search engines, right? Microsoft, Bing labeling sites that wrong think, malicious or whatever. Google does that same thing all the time. D-ranks things in search results, up-ranks criticism of people they don't like. All that kind of stuff. That's been happening for a long time.
Well, and to kind of compound on that, we haven't talked about this on the show. I'm actually waiting to have Kabrutus on. Speaking of Kabrutus and the Real Game Awards, but his website DEI Detected is more or less shadow banned on Google, and he's getting more information about it. But if you were to Google literally DEIdetected.com, it doesn't even show up. Yep. Which how does that happen?
They admitted it years ago. Eric Schmidt, the old CEO of Google. You can watch that whole interview on YouTube. He's like, we're not going to remove things. What we're going to do is it's still going to get to exist. It'll just kind of be in a bubble. No one will be able to find it. And that's what, he just laid out the whole Machiavellian master plan. And apparently no one was taking notes because he meant what he said.
Yes. When someone says who they are or what they're doing, believe them.
Yeah.
Believe them. There we go. All right. Well, this is one of those things where it's like, man, this is just you're getting on that slippery slope, and I can't imagine YouTube ever implementing removing comments from their videos. But Crunchyroll of all things, that's kind of a crazy.
I can see it.
You could see YouTube removing comments.
They already removed the dislike button and everything. That was the start of everything.
Yeah. Oh, and all the time, gosh. If I don't remember to go into, how you have comments show up on YouTube and then you have the other tab that's review comments. If I don't remember to go to review comments, half of the people who comment on my videos will be flagged by YouTube and won't be visible. It's just what they naturally do with the YouTube filter. So I have to go through and check all of them and allow them on. It's so obnoxious. It's thank you for censoring my audience on behalf of me, Google. I appreciate it.
Tommy came in and says, years ago, when online news removed comments, someone started a site that will give you a comment section externally for all websites. You're used to, yeah.
I forget what that's called, but yeah, when that happened, it's like a browser plugin.
Yeah, I remember the ESPN. Obviously, ESPN had Facebook comments a long time ago. And the idea behind Facebook comments was it would drive people back to the article that you're looking at. No comments on ESPN anymore. They just straight up remove that, and you will consume and you will like it, and you will not push against the narrative in any way, by any way, shape, or form. So there you go. You mean discuss? Yeah, maybe. I don't think it was discuss, but
dissenter.
Yes. Thank you. There we go. Nice. You guys know. And once again, that's a great example, right? We're talking about something we don't have the answer on the tip of our tongue. The chat is, for us, is such an important part of our show. We look to you guys. You guys are the fourth member of the show on a day-to-day basis. This is three of us and then you guys. So I just can't even imagine the idea behind it. And there is hope with them just being hidden, but will they truly remove them altogether? I guess we'll see in the next week or so as they if there's any pushback on Crunchyroll.